Namaste, beautiful yogis. This is going to be a beginner's introductory power vinyasa yoga class. Let's begin at the front of our mats. Feet together, shoulders down, chest open, belly in, chin parallel to the floor, lifting through the crown of the head. Allow your feet to sink down through your mat, lifting the arches of your feet, lifting the kneecaps, and again extending the tailbone down. Connection in your core, establishing connection with your powerhouse. Hands over the heart, deepening the breath. Begin to focus on your breath. Allow everything else around you to disappear and be here and now, focused on your breath, focused on the present moment. And let's inhale the hands over the head. Lift. Feel a lift through the fingertips. Relax the shoulders. Feet are grounded. You can look up into the direction of your hands, looking between the palms of the hands, and let's exhale the hands behind us, either clasping your fingers or you can have a towel behind you and just hold the towel if you can't clasp. Let's bend the knees slightly and fold forward in a forward bend. We're bending the knees to protect the knees when we're doing beginner's forward bends, especially if there is stiffness in the hamstrings. And let's come back up, open the chest over, opening the right shoulder up towards the ceiling, back to center, and let's open the left shoulder up. The hands are pressing away from your back. Exhale, folding forward, and let's wrap our hands or wrists around the elbows. Unwrapping and slowly roll up like a ragdoll, coming up to standing. Inhaling the hands over the head. Exhale your hands over the heart. Big breath in, lifting the hands over the head, reach. Exhale, flat back, all the way. Bringing the hands on the floor, on your shin bones, wherever you can reach, and take one hand forward in front of you, keeping your back straight, knees slightly bent, and then the other hand forward. Inhale, look ahead of you. Bring the hands on the floor and step back into plank. Spread the fingers wide open, lifting the palms of the hands off the floor. You're pressing into the base of your fingers here. Knees on the floor for beginners. Or if you're familiar with plank, you can do the full version, and slowly lower yourself down onto your belly, elbows in, shoulders back and down. The back of the neck is lengthening, the tailbone is tucked under. Lift your chest off the floor and continue elongating your tailbone down so that the tailbone is pointing down towards your heels. Strong triceps, press yourself all the way back into child's pose. Allowing the hands to rest, palms of the hands facing each other. We're going to be coming back to child's pose every time we need to take a break. Feel free to take breaks in child's pose whenever you need to. And let's come back into plank. Knees on the floor, lower down, halfway down, chaturanga, yogic push-up, and back up into downward facing dog. The feet are hip width apart, the hands are shoulder width apart, the shoulders are away from the ears so that the back is wide, belly in. You can come onto your tippy toes, lifting the tailbone as high as you can. And then lower down as far down as your heels would go. They don't have to touch the floor. Just continue stretching your hamstrings. And let's step the feet between the hands. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, come all the way up with a flat back. All the way up to standing, hands over the heart. Prayer. Big breath in, lift your hands over the head. Exhale, folding with a straight back into a forward bend as far as you can go. Inhale, look ahead of you, belly in, step into plank, chest open. Belly in, feel free to stay on your knees. Slowly lower down onto your belly. Cobra pose, lengthening the entire back side of the body here. And let's press back into child's pose. Relax the shoulders, soften your breath, soften your gaze, soften your jaw. Coming back up on the knees, chaturanga, and exhale, downward facing dog. Pressing the navel in and up. And here we're gonna step the right foot between the hands. I'm demonstrating the step through with the help of your hand if you can't bring your foot between your hands. Lowering the left knee on the floor, the part above the knee, not the kneecap itself, is on the floor, and reaching up towards the sky, or feel free to hold your right knee here and stay here. Let's lower the left hand on the floor, right hand reaches up. Exhale and soften your belly as you go a little deeper in this twist. The shoulders are down away from the ears and the chest is open. Great. Coming back up, step into plank, lower down all the way onto your belly, cobra pose. Exhale, and let's go back into downward facing dog. And let's take the left foot between the hands, either step it through or help with your hand to bring it between your hands. Once you're here, take a stance that's as wide as you can take, pressing the right knee away from you so that the contact with the floor is above your kneecap. The kneecap itself is not on the floor, and come up into a crescent lunge, or you can be holding your left knee here with your hands. Exhale, right hand on the floor. Left hand reaches up as if the hands are trying to reach away from each other, opening the chest, widening the back. The neck is aligning with your spine here. Don't allow your head to hang. And let's bring both hands on the floor, step it back into plank. Feel free to do full planks and chaturangas if you're familiar with it. Otherwise, just build your upper body strength by keeping your knees on the floor and going through cobra, then chaturanga, child's pose. Coming back to your breath and coming back to your center. Inhale, come back out of it. Chaturanga on your knees. Exhale, downward facing dog. Spread the fingers wide open. Keep your feet parallel to each other. Tailbone is lifting as high as you can. Breathe into your hamstrings. And let's take the right foot between the hands. Coming one more time into crescent lunge. Left knee on the floor. This time we're gonna bring the hands in prayer together and bring the left elbow on the outside of the right knee, using the elbow to open the chest here and widen the back. Exhale, soften your belly. It will allow you to go a little deeper in this twist, detoxifying twists. Inhale, come back to center. Reach your hands over your head and then on the floor. And let's step back into plank. Lower down onto your belly. Inhale, lengthening the back of the neck, elbows in, cobra. Exhale, tuck your toes under and sit back. Child's pose. The palms of the hands are facing each other. Inhale, come forward. Chaturanga on the knees and up into downward facing dog. Let's take the left foot between the hands, lower down the right knee on the floor, pressing the right hip forward here to stretch the hip flexor. Inhale, lift your hands over the head, and let's bring them in prayer and twist. Exhale, bringing the right elbow on the outside of the left knee. Really try to maintain openness in the chest and back, elongation in the spine, softness in your gaze, in your jaw. Looking back over the left shoulder. Inhale, come up, lift. Exhale, hands on the floor, belly in, step into plank. Knees on the floor, lower down onto your belly, elbows in, hands underneath the shoulders. Cobra pose, lengthen through the crown of your head. Exhale, all the way into child's pose. Coming back to your breath. Inhale your hands forward and let's bring them underneath the shoulders, Chaturanga pose, lift and downward facing dog. Chaturangas on the knees are ideal for building upper body strength and working your way towards a full Chaturanga. Let's take the right foot between the hands, come up, lunge. Inhale, lift your hands over the head. Here your right knee is going to be pointing directly forward. The toes are pointing directly forward. Pressing away, the left heel is pressing away from you. And let's bend the left knee towards the floor and lift back up 3 times. Bend and lift. Stationary lunges. Lower down. And let's bring left hand on the floor, right arm reaches up towards the ceiling. Lift and lengthen. Exhale, both hands on the floor. Plank. All the way lowering onto the belly. Inhale, cobra, lengthening the back of the neck. Elbows are still bent. Chaturanga on the knees and downward facing dog. And this is my dog snoring behind me. And let's take the left foot between the hands. Inhale. Lift your arms all the way up. Lunge. Tailbone is extending down and let's bend the right knee towards the floor, 2nd time, 3rd time. Great. Lower down, bring the right hand on the floor, left arm reaches up, shoulders down, chest open, belly softens, pressing the back heel away from you. Keep your left knee steady above your ankle. Let's bring both hands on the floor, step back plank. Knees on the floor, Chaturanga, lower down all the way onto your belly, Cobra. Lengthen, extend the tailbone down, toes are pressing into your mat. And let's lift and go back into child's pose. Inhale, come forward, Chaturanga on the knees. Exhale, downward facing dog. Feel free to do Chaturanga on your feet if you have enough strength. to align properly. And let's step the feet at the front of the mat. Exhale, forward fold, holding your legs, extending the top, the crown of your head down towards the floor. Feel free to keep a slight bend in your knees here. Inhale, look ahead of you and keep your back straight as you come up to standing. Hands all the way towards the ceiling and over the heart. Big breath in, reach over your head. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, look ahead of you, flat back. Step into plank. Lower down. I'm doing a full chaturanga one time for this entire class. Upward facing dog, shoulders back and down. The knees are off the floor here. The tailbone is tucking under and the back of the neck is lengthening. And again, chaturanga, exhale, downward facing dog. Give it a go and see where you're at with your upper body strength. If you feel you can do a few per class, full chaturangas, do so. Otherwise, stay on your knees and you will build the strength. You'll be able to grow stronger. Inhale, we're gonna drop the back heel on the floor and come up into warrior one. The hips are facing forward here. You're trying to have both of your hips facing forward, hands are reaching up towards the ceiling. The right knee is pointing forward. Pressing on the outer edge of the left foot. The toes on the left foot are slightly in, not all the way in and not 90 degrees out, somewhere between 45 and 60 degrees in. And let's bring the hands over the heart and open into warrior two. The stance here is a little wider than for the previous pose. The knee is still pointing directly forward where the toes are pointed at. Relax your shoulders. Press into the outer edge of your left foot, externally rotating the left hip, and breathe. Let's lower both hands on the floor and step into plank. Chaturanga, and then all the way onto your belly. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, child's pose. Palms of the hands facing each other so that the shoulders relax. Inhale, come forward, chaturanga. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's take the left foot between the hands. Right heel on the floor, pressing into the outer edge of the right foot. Come up, warrior one. Pressing the right hip forward here and the left leg back. Left hip is pressing back so that the hips are evenly squaring forward. Lift your hands over your head. The gaze can be up towards the hands or forward. And let's bring the hands over the heart and open into warrior two. A little wider stance here. Keep pressing into the outer edge of your back foot, lifting the arch of your right foot off the floor. Make sure your left knee is pointing forward and aligning with your toes. Look ahead of you. Extend the tailbone down. Relax the shoulders. Exhale, hands on the floor, step back plank. Lower down all the way onto your belly. Inhale, cobra. Really try to lengthen. We're not trying to compress the lower back here. We're trying to lengthen the lower back. And exhale, child's pose. Try to make child's pose the place where you remind yourself about your breath and about your consciousness, awareness of the present moment and of your breath. Coming back up, Chaturanga, downward facing dog. Let's take the left foot between the hands. Lower down the right heel on the floor, pressing into the outer edge of the right foot. Come up. Warrior two. And let's lower down the right hand down the right leg, lifting through your left fingertips up, reversing your warrior, straightening the legs. And now we're gonna pivot on the heels and turn towards the back of our room for warrior two with the right leg forward. Hands are reaching away from each other, pressing to the outer edge of your left foot. Activating the arches of both feet. Reversing the warrior, walk your left hand down the left leg, lift the right hand up and over the head, palm of the hand facing down so that you're protecting your shoulder. Come back to center and let's bring the feet parallel to each other. Hands on the hips. Inhale, look up towards the ceiling, sky. Exhale, flat back. Lower down as far as you can. And you can lower your hands on the floor or keep them on your hips. Pressing into the outer and inner edges of your feet here, lifting the kneecaps up. Try not to roll on the outer edges of your feet here. Try to maintain alignment of your feet. Great, and here we are gonna hop the feet together, walk the feet together, and press up with a flat back, all the way up to standing. Tree pose, right foot is gonna either be on the calf or on the inner thigh. You can be touching the floor here. With your toes. And once you're in tree pose, either your right foot is in your left inner thigh or your calf. You can bring your hands over your heart or open them to the sides. And just try to maintain balance. We're also working on our patience. Looking ahead of you. Great, let's bring the knee into the rib cage, holding it with both hands. Let's bring the left hand on the right knee, and whenever you're ready, see if you can bring your left hand behind you and maybe even look back. Slowly come back up, step it back down, over to the other side, taking the left foot. You can keep your toes slightly touching the floor if you're struggling with balance, or bring your foot on your calf or into your upper inner thigh, pressing the foot into your thigh and the thigh back into your foot. Open the knee out and back. And the hand alignment here is optional. Have your hands on your hips, over your heart, opening out to the sides, reaching up towards the ceiling. Just follow your breath here and try to stay in the moment, balancing on one leg. Great, let's bring the left knee into the rib cage. Bring your right hand around your left knee and see if you can open the other hand behind you and maybe even look back. Don't worry if you lose your balance, just come back to it. Practice. If you have If you find repose to be very challenging, practice it for longer times. Don't avoid it. And step it back down. Now we're gonna go back into our wide stance. Open the right foot towards the back of the room, left foot in, open the hands out, keeping both sides of your torso lengthening. Lower your right hand down towards your right leg, right shin bone, maintaining alignment here, Trikonasana, triangle pose. Keep opening your left hip, externally rotating your left hip. Keep lengthening the spine here, lifting the kneecaps. To come up, make sure you're using your abdominal muscles, obliques. Switch legs, switch feet alignment. So the left foot is pointing forward and lower down. Left hand over the left shin bone. Keep lengthening here. I'm opening my chest, opening my back, lengthening my spine, lifting my kneecaps, lifting the arches of my feet. Every part of your body is working here, aligning the neck with the spine. Come back up using your oblique muscles. One more time. We're gonna turn towards the back of the room. This time we're gonna square the hips so that they're pointing. Both hips are squared with the back wall of your room. And lower down. Left hand is gonna come down towards the floor. Right arm is gonna reach up. You can keep your left hand on your leg. Revolving triangle pose. Great. Slowly come back out of it, and we're gonna do the same over to the other side. Hips are square, reaching, right hand reaches forward, way ahead of you. Lower down, grab your leg, shin bone, floor. Opening the left arm all the way up. Chest opens. And let's bring both hands on the floor and step back into plank. Knees on the floor. Sit back. Child's pose. You can bring your hands by your heels, palms facing up towards the ceiling. And slowly come up to seated. Bring your legs in front of you into a seated pose. You can grab the flesh on the back of your leg and open it out so that you're sitting on your sitting bones. Reach up, straight back, lower down, forward bend. Flex your feet. Lengthen through the crown of the head so the spine is lengthening. Breathe into your hamstrings. Try to soften your breath when you're stretching. One of the biggest flexibility secrets is working with your breath, softening, relaxing, and deepening the breath. Let's bend the right knee and bring the right foot as close to your hip as possible. Lift your left hand up towards the ceiling. So right knee, left hand, twist and look back over your right shoulder. Flex the foot on the left side. Press the left leg down, actively pressing it down into the floor. Look back over your right shoulder. Keep lifting through the crown of the head here. Inhale, coming out of this and over to the other side. Left knee bends, bring your left foot as close to you as you can. Reach right hand up and the elbow comes on the outside of the left knee. Look back, breathe. Right foot is flexing, right leg is pressing actively down. Don't forget about your right leg here. It's important to have awareness in all body parts. Inhale, lift, exhale. Both hands on the floor. Bring your hands a couple of inches behind you, fingers pointing back towards you, feet parallel to each other. And now we're gonna lift the hips up, coming into tabletop. Knees should be over the ankles and not over the toes. Wrists underneath the shoulders, and sit back down. Rounding your back. You can lower yourself down all the way on the floor. Let's keep the feet parallel to each other, hip width apart. Or even the toes could be pointing just a tiny bit in. Bring your elbows down on the floor. Hands are reaching up, palms of the hands facing each other. This is so that we can activate the shoulders and press the outer edges of the shoulders down into the mat and lift into bridge pose. When you're in bridge pose, try to extend the tailbone towards your knees, in this case, tucking the tailbone down and pressing the hips as high as you can. Take a break from bridge pose and come back to it one more time. Press your elbows down. The shoulders, outer edges of your shoulders are pressing down to keep the chest open here. Lift your hips as high as you can. I'm lifting my toes off the floor as well, so that I'm pressing into all four corners of each foot. And slowly lower back down onto the floor. Let's hug the knees into the chest and take a break. Extend the right foot a few inches off the floor and bring your forehead in towards one knee and then alternate the other. Again, bring your forehead into your knee. Switch. If they don't touch, not a big deal. Just continue with the movement. A few more times, a few more switches. Moving consciously. Breathing consciously. And here we're gonna bring the hands a few inches off the floor, palms of the hands facing down. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. 5 inhalations through the nose, 5 exhalations through the mouth. This is a Pilates 100. We're not gonna go all the way to 100 because we're gonna go ahead and go into bicycles. Bringing opposite elbow to knee and switching opposite elbow to knee. Keep your chest open and your elbows back. Try not to pull on your neck here. Continue with the movement, switching sides. Left elbow, right knee, right elbow, left knee. Keep pressing the lower back into your mat. Come out of it. And you can stretch your legs towards your chest with the knees bent if you need to. And we're gonna go into a supine twist. Bend your right knee, bring it across from your body and look back over your right shoulder. Keep the right shoulder down on the floor. Relax. Great. Inhale, come back up. And over to the other side. Left knee comes into the chest and across from the body all the way on the floor. Look back over your left shoulder. Soften your belly, relax your breath. Inhale, come back up. And let's bend the right knee and bring the right ankle above the left knee, bending the left knee actually here, and you can tread your hands between your legs to grab the back of your left knee. Reclining pigeon pose, hip opener. You should feel it in your hips, no pain in your knees. This is a good modification of a pigeon pose. And you can switch sides, holding the back of the right knee and keeping the left ankle above the right knee. Press the left knee away from you and the left foot towards you. and you can release both knees into the chest. Let's bring the forehead into the knees with the breath in, and as you exhale, release, lower your body on the floor. Close your eyes and either stay in Shavasana for as long as you need to, or you can sit in easy pose or lotus, still with your eyes closed for a few moments, contemplating the present moment. And whenever you're ready, you can bring your hands over your heart and bow to your heart for its forgiveness, compassion, and love. Namaste.